Likutei Moharan Yutes. We're holding Basif Vav. Let's make what we call a summary of what we learned until now. Okay? So we explained that there is something which is called Lashon Kodesh, which was used to create the world. Okay? That Lashon Kodesh depends on Tikkun HaBris, the rectification of the covenant. On the other hand, there is the overall evil, the Ra HaKoilel, that unifying, that all-encompassing evil of all the 70 nations. Every nation has its own specialty, but there's one Midara which combines them all together. This is the flame, the Tavis Niyuf, the vice of fornication. And when a person attains Lashon Kodesh perfectly, then that particular vice has no control over him. But when a person doesn't have Shlemus Lashon Kodesh, when he doesn't have it, doesn't have this, then the Taiva has Shlita, it does control him. Now, this is the first Hakdama that we learned. Then we learned that in the interplay between the total good, which is Lashon Kodesh, which is Shmiras HaBris, and the total bad, which is the flame of the 70 nations, which is Tavis Niyuf, in between them, some called Klipas Nega. Klipas Nega is the conduit, the interface that enables the Tumah to feed off the Kedusha. Because the principle is that Shefa, bounty, life, vitality, comes into this world only through the Kedusha. Kodesh Baruch is Kodesh. Okay? So, now, but the Tumah needs to live, it exists for a reason, was created for a reason, it exists for a reason. So you have to give it sustenance. But how can the Tumah feed off the Kedusha? The total opposites. So for this there is a middle ground. There's a conduit. There's an interface that allows. Now, that particular middle ground, there's an interest on the part of the Tum'ah, of defilement, of evil, to enter this realm for the purpose of getting sustenance, robbing banks, selling drugs, whatever it is, get its chas from the Kedusha. On the other hand, the Kedusha too has an interest to get into this realm. And the reason is that particular realm, that middle ground, is a mixture of good and bad. And this is where the action is. This is where the competition. One side, Brooklyn, New York, the svelte 180 pounds. There's a Tumah. On the other side is the Kedusha. The avodah of the Kedusha is to enter that realm. And take the good, separate it from the bad that it's mixed in, dump the bad, off, elevate the good into the Kedusha. This is why we came to this world. That is our main reason. Now, that realm is where is the Tumah is Asa, and the Kedusha is a mitzvah. The middle ground is Mutar, it's allowed. Allowed depends what you do with it. You can allow it to cover up licentiousness, and you can use it to elevate the good into the Kedusha. And it is through this middle ground that Tavis Niyuf can enter, can reach a person, and control him with Tavis Niyuf. Now, we said specifically there were various names that we called Lashon Kodesh. Lashon Kodesh means a Dibur HaKodesh. It's having a Dibur. It's Lashon Kodesh. It's Ruach HaKodesh. It's Tikkun HaBris. It's Isha Chachama. The Dibur is Malchus, it's Isha. It's the Kodesh. Ruach HaKodesh is Ruach Chachma that comes from Kodesh. Ruach is Bris. We learned from Rachav. Nobody had a Ruach, which means nobody could do anything. So Ruach HaKodesh, that's Tikkun HaBris. Together, this is that realm. On the other side, you have Tavis Niyuf. You have the flame of the 70 nations, which is also called the flame of the 70 stars. It's called Eshes Xilus, a wife of folly, of stupidity. Everything opposite. The middle ground, you have Lashon Kodesh, you have foreign languages. In the middle is Lashon Targum. This is Aramaic. This is Komsi Komsa, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It is called Tardema. It's called sleep. On one side of the Kedusha, there's life. On the other side, in Tumah, there's death. In between them, there's sleep. Let's just say the sleep is 1/60th of death. When a person has Shlemus Lashon Kodesh, means he cleans out the middle ground, Lashon Targum. There's no way for a person to achieve perfection Lashon Kodesh without working the middle ground. You have to earn your badge in the trenches. In the front line. In front of the quarterback, what's it called, the defensive line. You gotta do it in the trenches. Then you block the ability of the Tumah to come and imitate Lashon. Now we're going to learn a new thing. On top of these two, there's good and bad. There's a middle ground, and we understood what is the interplay, the power play between the Shkodesh and Shemasakum, what this one does, what this one does, what's the interest of each side, and where the battle is taking place. And now Rabbeinu introduces another concept. This particular concept is that when a person achieves a perfection, a perfection of Lashon Kodesh. What it does, it awakens the force, the primordial force of the letters of the Lashon Kodesh. It exists in everything. We said Lashon Kodesh was used to create the world, which means very same way that water, is was it H2O? Okay, these are the letters, the formula of water. But the formula of water is what people use to understand how water is built. There's a formula of the Lashon Kodesh that exists in everything. But this is a live formula. This is a formula that makes the thing be.
Amazing.
It exists. There is letters of Lashon Kodesh that makes this cup of coffee exist. There's letters in the paper, there's letters in the water, there's letters in the coffee, there's letters in the sugar, there's letters in the milk. There are letters in the table, letters in this plastic spoon, in this rubber thing, in the paper of the book, in the watch.
In the atoms, in the molecules is Lashon Kodesh.
The ruchnis level of that thing, the molecules is already gashmis. The atoms is already gashmis. Everything, we said, this is what I explained at great length yesterday, that everything here, the gashmis, is really a congealed spirituality. The thing that congeals the total spirituality into the atoms, into everything else, are the letters of Lashon Kodesh with which it was created. Atoms is not the fundamental elements, the letters are.
The things that we can't see, that are
You can't see atoms either.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying this is the Gashmi, the atoms at the Gashmi's level, the Ruchnis is before that. It's a Ruchnis level. When a person completes Lashon Kodesh, what it does, it brings off the power of the Oasis of Lashon Kodesh that exists in everything. And when a person achieves this, what he drinks and what he eats, and all his pleasure, is not from the physicality of the thing anymore, but from the shimmering, the sparkling of the letters which exist in the food and in the drink. And that enlightenment, that shimmering, that sparkling, makes the face of the person shine. It makes his heart illuminated, and that light comes out in his face. When your face shines in such a manner, other people can see his own face in your face, like a mirror. Sifaf. When a person elevates the good in the Targum, and he completes Lashon Kodesh, Shebo Nivra Olam, with which the world was created, that awakens and multiplies and swells the power of the letters of Lashon Kodesh that exists in everything. Every single thing, it has many combinations of letters which are, these are spiritual concepts. Sheboni v'adav with which that particular thing was created. And it is that combination of letters that sustains this thing, enables us to exist. And when you achieve the perfection of Lashon Kodesh through Lashon Targum, that frees up the koyach of these letters that exist in everything. Now, this thing is alluded to in the thing, the words of Moshe Rabbeinu begging the Kodesh Baruch Hu to forgive Am Yisrael for the Chet HaMeraglim, for the sin of the Meraglim. V'ata yigdal lekoyach Hashem kasher dibart aleinu. And now, may it please let it grow the koyach of Hashem, the force of Hashem, kasher dibart aleinu, like you spoke to say. So Chazal said, what is Lemo? Lemo, about a different pasuk, it says the Sanhedrin, Lemo da Gilo Rayos. It says on the pasuk in Yirmiyah, "Hen yishlach ishas ishta v'alcha mito v'oisal ish achad." And he says to say that here a man sends his wife and she went from him and she got married to a different person. The Novi Yirmiyah says that lamor. What does this lamor come to say? The lamor says there's foul play involved here. This person sending his wife to another man, that gilur arayos. This is sexual criminality. There is sexual perversions, gilur arayos. There's illicit inyanim going on. In other words, Leimor, it alludes to Bechinas and Medura Shel Shivim Kechavim. That's the flame of the 70 stars. Shu Bechinas Taivas Niu. That is the Tyler for fornication. Shenisbat El Adeh Dibur Shel Lashon Kodesh. That is cancelled, that is brought down through the Dibur of Lashon Kodesh. וזהו כאשר דיברת עלינו. In other words, כאשר דיברת, זהו כפי הדיבור של לשון קודש, כאשר דיברת, as the דיברת is, in other words, as the state of your לשון קודש, שעל ידו נאסר הרעיוס, this is the thing that captures, that binds the הרעיוס, doesn't let it control, but it's בנו תאיבס ניוף, כנ"ל, כמו כן יגדל כרך השם. This allows the growth and the exposure of the primordial, the original Koyach Hashem. According to the perfection, the shlemus, they perfect the Dibur Loshin Kodesh. Shehu b'china shvira v'bitul tavas niyum. כן, נסגבל ונסער כוח השם של מעשי בראשית. This empowers and increases the koyach, the force of Hashem that is intrinsic in Maaseh Bereshis. Which is what? Which Shem. These are the letters that exist in everything in the world. Because these letters are Koyach Hashem. That is the force that Hashem created the world. What he used Papiroas says something interesting. He says that Rabbeinu's words are also could be understood according to Pshat. Because then Moshe Rabbeinu down because of the chet of the Meraglim, which slandered Eretz Yisrael. With this, they damaged Loshen Kodesh. They used the dibur to slander Eretz Yisrael. That's the gal of Loshen Kodesh. Loshen Kodesh is when the dibur is the way it's supposed to be. Slandering Eretz Yisrael is the gal. Befrat, Eretz Yisrael and Loshen Kodesh is one thing, and Bris Kodesh, the Zohar says. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu davened that the koach of the Oasis, Loshen Kodesh, should grow, should overcome, should defeat that particular guy. In Sif Zayin, מי שיכול לסעור את ססל שהאויסס שבכל מעשה ברשת שיש בכל דור. Anybody, a person who can free up and energize the shining of the letters that exists in the very primordial state of everything. By what? By elevating the good in the Targum, completing Loshen Kodesh. Azaya chilose v'shtiyose v'kol tornugov eino ela mitznei zoyse sheba'achila v'b'shtiyah. That is drinking and his eating and his drinking and all his pleasures is only from that illumination of the letters which exist in the food and in the drink, and not from the physical taste. In other words, Master Chef is a total waste of these people. It's a total waste for everybody, but this is Bechinas, this is what it says about Boaz. Vayochal, vayesh, vayitav liboy. And he ate, he drank, and his heart became good. What does it mean? Vayitav liboy, and his heart became good. Haynu b'chinas, it's that's the illumination of the letters. The letters of what? Of the Lev, the 32 Elokim, Matzah Bereshis that exists in everything. In the story of Bereshis, of the creating the world in the beginning of Bereshis, of Genesis, it is said the word Elokim 32 times. Vayom Elokim, Vayar Elokim, Vayiven Elokim, Vayetzer Elokim, Vayivar Elokim. The whole story, from the beginning of the Matzah Bereshis until the end of creation, the word Elokim, which is the expression of the might, the mightiness of Hashem, the koyach of Hashem, is mentioned 32 times. What is 32 times Gematria? Lev. It says, Vayetev liboy, he ate and he drank, and his lev became good. Boaz had the shlemus of Kodesh, because it's boy us. Us is the power of a man. As it means his boy. He held it in him. It didn't go out. He didn't spend out some time of sniff. It held it in. Boaz. The manliness of Boaz was contained within him, which means he was untouched by time of sniff. Boaz represents the shlemus of Tikkun HaBris. So when he ate and he drank, Vayetev liboy, he freed up, he enjoyed only the lev, the 32 koyach, the oisius that exist in Matzah Bereshis. The koyach is Elokim, the 32 Elokim, it mentions Matzah Bereshis. The 32 Tanakim, if you see, there's a sefer, it's called Sefer Yetzirah, that was written by Avram Avinu. Sefer Yetzirah mentions the 32 paths through which HaKadosh Baruch Hu has created and formed the world. B'shloshim nesivos chochma, 32 paths of wisdom. That's how Sefer Yetzirah starts. These 32 is the 32 Elokim, the 32 mentions of the Shem Elokim in Ma'aseh Bereishis. These are spiritual concepts with which the world was created. And these 32 paths, they include the 22 letters and the 10 spheres. 22 plus 10, 32. These are the 32 paths of Nesivos Chochma, paths of wisdom. So he explains here, I believe, yes, he said the Ramak, when the Ramak explains, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, when his Perush Sefer Yetzirah explains like this. Really, the spheres and the Odysseus are one thing. In a very, very high level, they're totally one. But in a lower level, the 10 spheres are split to 22. Then they correspond to 22 Odysseus. As the Rebbe explains later on, we're not going to get into it because it's much too complicated to add on to everything else, is how the 10 spheres actually split to 22. His heart became good, improved, and the only goodness that there is light. Hashem saw the light and it is good. So Yetav Liba means his heart shone, was illuminated. He ate and he drank, and his heart became good, was illuminated. His eating and his drinking was it was from the illumination and the shining of the letters of the Lamas Bes Elokim. The Lamed Bes, the 32 spiritual concepts of Elokim, which is the Koyach Ma'aseh Bereishis, in whatever it is that he consumed. Chazal said, "Vayitiv liba is a birkas hamazon." That he made the birkas hamazon. What does it mean? Shayach hilosoi v'shtiyosoi meitznoitzis ha'osiyos shesh ba'achila. His eating and his drinking was from the spirituality of the letters in the food, and then in the drink. Shezeh b'chinas birkas hamazon. That's the blessing of the food. Because the food Amazon is Baruch Hadesh Shlavos Lashon Kodesh. The food itself is blessed through the perfection of Lashon Kodesh. When you awaken and you shine the letters of this and everything, this causes the food to be blessed. It's not just the privilege of the highborn. He says that the pleasure of eating and drinking of you and me needs to be from that. In other words, we need, according to our Madrega, to be able to achieve this.